Welcome, everyone. This is the next St. Mary's live video. I thought today I would do something a little fun on the Tower of Babel. This is a little thought idea that I've had batting around as I've thought about this story a little bit and noticed some things that I don't think maybe get noticed very often and some details here or there. And so I thought it'd be fun to maybe look at the Tower of Babel story from Genesis. Now, many people are familiar with this story. And if you were to ask someone, how does it go? Well, they probably tell something like this. Humans, in our hubris, made this large tower to reach heaven and assert ourselves before God. And so the God came down, and in some popular tellings of the story, the way it's told, was actually worried that humanity might challenge him, and therefore, the way the story is often told or interpreted, God cursed us with different languages, cursed the people to prevent them from finishing the tower. But what if I told you I'm not so sure this is a curse at all, and the text isn't saying that in any way, shape, or form? So let's look at the text a little bit. It's Genesis 11, 1 through 9, and it says, "Now the whole earth had one language and the same words. And as they migrated from the east, they came upon a plain in the land of Shinar and settled there. And they said to one another, 'Come, let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly.' And they had brick for stone and bitumen for mortar. And then they said, 'Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower with its top in the heavens, and let us make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth.'" Now, let's stop right there because I think we're often missing something already. Notice in the story, their goal is to build, not to build a tower to rival God. It doesn't say that at all, actually. It was to be famous, to make a name, and not to be scattered among the whole earth. The story does not say they were trying to overthrow God or become gods or anything like that at all. It's saying humans wanted to stay in one spot and never leave and to be great. That's it. They were going to build a big tower. Note all that because it's about to be important. The passage continues, verse 5, "The Lord came down to see the city and the tower which mortals had built. And the Lord said, 'Look, they are one people, and they have all one language. And this is only the beginning of what they will do. Nothing they propose to do will now be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language there, so they may not understand one another's speech.'" Now, one thing I think we assume when we read this passage, many people assume that the Bible can never be sarcastic, but I don't think that's true at all. See, the way we interpret this, I think, is going to depend a lot on how you think one could read it. In fact, some Christians maybe think snark or sarcasm is a sin, but I actually really think we have that here. This is not, in other words, it is not saying, "Look, they're one people and they have one language. This is only the beginning. Come, let us go down." This is, "Oh, look, the people are one language. This is only the beginning of what they can do. Come, let us look down to see that little tower those humans have built." Man, they think they're just great, don't they? This is God in heaven saying, "Come, let us look down." The people, you see, from their mind, have built this great tower to the sky, and they think it's the most magnificent thing they've ever built. And God has to say, "Oh, that thing, let's go look down at that," and has to stoop himself to see this great thing. Isn't that tower cute? That's, I think, what's going on. God is being sarcastic. The "look, nothing will be impossible for them" is snarky. "Oh boy, look at those small things. They think that's a tall tower. That's really cute. I bet they can do anything now." If God had eyes, he would at this point be rolling them. And this is what we get to the part where many people think is a curse. And I'm going to explain why I don't think it's a curse at all, actually. Verse 8, "So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of the whole earth, and they left off building the city. Therefore it was called Babel, because the Lord confused the language on the earth, and from there the Lord scattered them abroad over the face of the whole earth." Notice first off, it doesn't say it's a curse. That word doesn't appear anywhere in there. Now, something can be a thing without the word being mentioned. This is true. But just notice we are assuming that it's called a curse and it doesn't say that. So, what was it? Why? God's not scared of this little tower. That's not the point of the story. Well, remember why they built it, to not be scattered. And what does God do? He forces them to be scattered. That's what's hit the microphone. That's the contrast going on here. They don't want to be scattered. God confounds their languages to scatter them. Why? What does scattering have to do with anything? Well, if you keep your finger on this place and you flip back to Genesis 1:28, we have in the creation story God giving humanity a very specific command. Genesis 1:28, God blessed them, and God said to them, to man and woman, to humanity, be faithful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. You see, God commanded humanity to spread across the earth, be fruitful, multiply, and go across the earth. The Babel story is not about humans wanting to overthrow heaven, but it's about humans not wanting to move or change. They're happy where they are in that town they grew up in. They're happy where they have always been. They don't want to change. They don't want to try something different. They don't want to be different. They want to be stuck in the same place they've always been and never leave. It's a human rejection, I think, of change and diversity itself. God said, go throughout the earth, and humanity said, no, we'll stay right here. So instead of fulfilling the earth and embracing the changes that would create by doing that, you're going to encounter change. You're going to encounter new things and new people. Cultures will develop. Languages may have just, would have developed no matter what, right? Like this is just part of it. And instead of seeing what a creative God would do to bring about different things, they wanted everyone to be the same and stay in one place. So the story is not about God cursing with different languages. It's about God making humanity do what we were supposed to do and have diversity, have different cultures. The different languages are good things, I think, in this story because God loves diversity. We could have had only one kind of flower, only one kind of tree, but in creation, we see a plethora of different things created. We see lots of flowers and lots of trees and lots of birds. God doesn't only want one kind of flower, one kind of bird, or one kind of human, or one kind of language, or one kind of culture, or one kind of nation. We have a variety because God values creativity, diversity, and growth. That's that's the warning of Babel. The warning of Babel is what happens when humanity doesn't want that, when it rejects creativity, diversity, growth, and change, when it wants to be a great thing in and of itself and never, ever grow and never adapt or never be diverse at all. Then that's when God acts and makes it happen. The sin of Babel wasn't trying to storm heaven, it was trying to reject human diversity. So instead of a curse, I think it was an actual blessing. Again, the text doesn't say curse. And when you see it in context of scattering the command to fill the earth and how they said, we don't wanna, then I think what we see is God blessing a different cultures and languages and rejecting the human insistence that we want to remain unchanged. And instead, the lesson from the Babel story is to embrace the human diversity that God planned all along. So anyway, that's my take. Maybe it's a different from what you've heard. Maybe you agree or disagree. It'll be interesting to know what you think about that. So, you know what? Feel free to leave comments below, positive or negative. As the old saying goes, even negative comments drive engagement. So there we are. So anyway, feel free to say whatever. I might do a follow-up video if it's of interest. So everyone have a great day. God bless.